and Marxist ideas, where the Soviet regime, along with the whole of the Eastern Europe, was giving and demonstrating an alternate political system and economic system. If we wouldn't have fought from 1979 to 1989, the $30 trillion of the capitalist economy probably wouldn't have been there. We contributed towards that. I'm not taking the entire credit for it, but we were in the forefront. But I feel at times we fail to articulate what have we contributed towards the global peace, towards the global security, towards the global economic and financial institutions, which are now religiously followed everywhere in a very sacrosanct manner. We have contributed towards the establishment of all those systems. So that's how I see, or we see, I is the wrong pronoun, because I represent at the moment the entire state of Pakistan. I see it in a very positive light. Yes?
I'm a first-generation Palestinian American from Chicago. And one thing that you actually just reminded me of in your mention of socialism and socialistic values is income inequality, which my country, the US, deeply suffers from, and I think we're witnessing like deep fractures in our unity and like core values that make America America. And one thing that I recognized in my travels to Islamabad from the war was some of those same issues are present in Pakistan. I think have been on the rise over the last couple of decades pretty dramatically. And so I'm wondering what you think has been the vision for the common man in Pakistan, and what strategies and policies has the government of Pakistan pursued, and maybe what lessons can other people in other nations learn from that?
Let me briefly respond to that. Look, our 7 decades of existence, we had a lot of challenging times. We are living in a political milieu where the 2 greatest military mights which are documented in human history, one was Soviet Empire and the second was the alliance of US and NATO and ISF forces. They came in this region and remained here respectively for each for 10 years. So it has implications, it has a lot of implications for a generally for our society, and at the same time, in the manner our state building institution or nation building project, if we could call it a project, it has responded in this environment, and many external realities have shaped our choices, in which at times our democratic dispensation has been on discontinuation. Sometimes our priorities to deliver to a common man, to which you are referring, has been out of context. Our priority list has reversed. Our spending spree has been on issues which has been of utmost importance to us, in which the existence, the political, economic, and other social rights of a common man has not been on priority. What does that mean? That we lack vision? No, this is not the case. We do have a vision, and we are trying to express and realize those vision in the greater value system on the basis of which this country was created. 2 countries craved themselves out of religious inspiration or ideas, at least in modern history. One is Pakistan in 1947, and the other is Israel in 1948. And both, they have taken altogether different courses, and they have different destinies, different circumstances. We are here with the population. Over there, it's at a very demographically at a disadvantaged position. Numerically, they are not that much. but both live in an environment where the security imperative has been of utmost importance. If you closely, you delve in and you dig out, again I would say these external factors were determining our choices. I personally feel we are settling down. We are in the dust is settling down, and the common man is becoming the nucleus and the entire idea of the relationship between state and citizen. We are transforming towards that. The ideal is that we develop that social contract, we express that social contract in which the rights and the responsibilities of the citizens are ensured, and vice versa. The state should also have its own rights and responsibilities. So it's a two-way, it's a dual carriageway. It has to come both ways. And I don't know whether I'm using the correct analogy or not, but that's how the modern nation states, I think so, are surviving, are improving, and delivering. I hope once you come next, whenever it is, and I hope it is soon, you will start feeling the changes in that direction.
My name is Osama Qureshi. I'm from Harvard Business School. So I'm one of the few who plan on flying the next day back to Pakistan right after graduation. So my question, of course, with that background would be about the financial policy. I've been following Pakistan's financial position in the recent times. Luckily, we were able to secure the IMF thanks to the team efforts. I think Mr. Asad did a great job in negotiating that. But then again, like, how many times do we have to go to IMF? How many times do we have to go to external sources out there? I just have a question to you about your next, couple of months, couple of years. May your tenure be a great sign for Pakistan's financial success. How do you plan, or what are your plans regarding the structural reforms when it comes to rebuilding Pakistan and bringing Pakistan back on that track where our forefathers, once lived in, and where our children will be proud of living in a nation, and we will be proud of being a self-sustainable nation?
Well, inshallah, I'm pretty much certain that you will be proud of yourself and your forefathers and the values they believed in and they represented. In short, IMF, I wonder why it is being treated as foe. It's not a foe. Neither is it a friend. The real foe is our expenditure habit and the way we generate revenue. So if we want to survive as a society and a state, we have to alter both. Rationalize our expenditure the way we govern these people, and we have to change our ways. How do we generate revenue? We are a country whose tax ratio to its GDP is around 9%. So if 9% of the people are contributing towards that huge gross domestic product, so what would be our economic and financial situation? So how do you do that? We are trying to contribute in our limited stint, which we understand it's a constitutional order and it would be there for a few months. How to bring non-documented economy and enhance the tax network? That is the answer. This is one. How do we invest in our human resource? Do we manufacture goods, or do we develop our individuals and sell services? So these are the two areas on which broadly we will focus. It has details. We don't have the time for that how do we realize those. But the general contours, we do understand that these are the two areas where we have to focus. Pakistan is gifted with the natural resources. When we talk of natural resources, people probably think that we are just talking about the mineral resources. Well, it's not just mineral resources. We are a country of talented people. People like yourself and many others who are part of this group. I'm sure the Pakistani American diaspora is a success story in itself. Every second American knows Pakistan not through OBL but through their GP, through their doctors, you know, and they are the one who have been invested by us. They're the medical graduate. If you want to produce a medical graduate in US, wow, how much you have to invest in it? $2 million, $3 million, somewhere there. We do it for $5,000 in 5 years. So that investment part in which you are able to produce a paramedic or a medical profession is not invested by the United States. It is done by us, and it's pretty much cheap. And then we invest them in your system, and you pay for their services. They do earn from that, but at the same time, you're benefiting in which we are investing here back home. The problem is it is not being realized that this is a two-way partnership. We should focus more on that, more producing skilled, semi-skilled, high-tech. It is an era of AI and the rest. So we need to put in more into our human resource. One of the very famous couplet of Iqbal, I'm sure you can translate it to the rest of your colleagues who are American Americans. Well, you are all American Americans, but I'm just saying it on lighter note. अफराद के हाथों में है अक़वाम की तकदीर, हर फर्द है मिल्लत के मुक़द्दर का सितारा. It's a couplet of our national poet in which he expresses that the destiny of the nation is collectively in the hands of people. And each and every individual is like a star towards that destiny. So this has been said around 100 years back when there was no concept of human resource development. But he hinted towards the human resource development, that everyone amongst these people are stars. And these stars can lead us towards a very bright future. They are the one who would be enlightening us, who would be guiding us, who would be telling us, who would be inspiring us. And I'm sure a few amongst them are sitting under this roof. And inshallah, people will contribute, and I'm very much certain that we will get out of this quagmire. It's a message of hope. There was a time when the Israelis faced a financial crunch, and the inflation rate in the late 70s in Israel was around 1,000%. But they sat there, they put in the right policies, they focused on recovering their economic woes, and they did it. And I'm sure we're going to do not just that, but we're going to do better. Yes, please. Yeah, you.
My question is regarding the future of democracy in Pakistan. As is evident from our history, we've experimented with different kinds of political systems, and they've not always been successful. For the past 2 to 3 terms, we've been a democratic country, but in the 7 decades that we've been free, there has not been a single democratic government that has completed a term. But when we look at our neighboring country of India, they have a thriving democracy. What do you think is the future of democracy in Pakistan, and when can we expect a government that would actually complete its term?
Well, first of all, the completion of tenure of any government is not, or incomplete completion of the tenure of a government is not at all undemocratic. The democracy gives guarantee to the strength of the parliament. And in Pakistan's case, last 15 years, post-2008, we had 3 successive complete stints of parliament. And in Westminster model of democracy, you do change the government's through parliament, through constitutional means, and that has been the case in Pakistan. In order to avoid purge and a coup, you have to agree on this principle that the members of the parliament has the inherent right to emplace a government or replace a government. So I have not seen any act in last 15 years where the case has been otherwise. Secondly, to the broader question of what is the future of democracy in Pakistan, the bigger question is what is the future of democracy at a global scale? And there are scholars back in West also, I mean, many of you probably would have read how democracies die. One should read that, one should learn through that. And there is another reference of Shirley Bremen. She teaches at Columbia. It's a case study where some 20 countries or 10 countries have been picked from Western Europe, and 300 years of democratic experience has been documented, and how the dictatorships have been morphed into democracy. It's a very interesting read. People like yourself, you must go through that. And in that you do realize that democracy is a process, not an event. And how does the German unification occurred? How does the English experiment occurred? How does the Spanish experiment occurred? How does the Italian experiment occurred? It's a guide for the transitional democracies. And then when you generate the conversation about democracy, there's a very important angle that you want to create a liberal democracy or an illiberal democracy. Yes, in our neighborhood, the ritual of democracy is being exercised for last 7 decades. But is it heading towards electoral autocracy? That is the question which needs to be focused more. And is it leading towards liberal democracy or an illiberal democracy? But is it this kind of democracy you would envision and you would want to have for United States of America? Fair enough. Or United Kingdom or France? Is this the old principle of laissez-faire, the French secular constitutional principles? I don't think so. So bringing it back to our region and then to our country, we are committed and we understand that the performance and participatory idea of democracy is what is needed. We would encourage that, we would try to realize that, but at the same time, when you have to strike a balance, there is a rule of law and then there is a rule of order. That social order can never ever be compromised for a rule of law. Sometimes, there are many scholars in the world which tells you that you have to operate in the law while outdating the law, when you would be operating in emergency laws. It's a wholesome idea, it's an entire discipline which is being taught in different universities, that when there are extraordinary situations, how does the normal law operate? In Pakistan's context and in our experience, there are times where the normal laws get suspended, or the normal laws are not fully implemented, or the normal laws are not solution to the kind of challenges we face, like our security challenge. What do you think that if we would have applied our normal policing laws, we would have countered suicide bombings, which, by the way, have happened in thousands of numbers? Of course not. So then the priority is that first you secure life. when you secure life, you secure social and political order, then later on you go for the issues of civil liberties, democratic principles, so on and so forth. So you have to strike a balance. And the entire arrangement of the universe, to be honest with you, if I observe it and if I try to comprehend it and want to express it in one single word which can reflect its basic principle of existence, and that is balance. It works on the principle of balance. You cannot just take an extreme position on anything. Whatever I am saying is still challengeable. All I'm trying to do is stimulate the thought process, and you try to look at it with another perspective as well. You may learn something from it, or you at least, it would lead you to explore further something, and you will delve in, and you may learn something new which has not even come out from me. So that's how the process should go.
Thank you so much for having us. My name is Rida. I'm from Karachi and I'm also an MBA student at Harvard Business School. Like Osama, I also plan on coming back to the country after graduation.
Welcome back.
Inshallah. My question to you is, people like us, most people decide to stay back in the States or abroad after completing their education, or if they go abroad for work, which is resulting in a talent drain in the country. You can say that some of our most educated, talented individuals are actually not residing in the country but are abroad. What do you think are a few measures that we can take to tackle this challenge? And what can we do? What is our role in this? And how can we encourage our peers to also come back and give to the country and serve the country that we love so much?
Thank you. I'm being trolled on Twitter for the last 48 hours on one of the comment which was incomplete, which I exactly tried to explain this phenomena. And I'm glad that you have raised it again. First of all, for me, the people who choose to remain either in the United States of America or in Europe or in Australia, anywhere in Western Hemisphere mostly, it's not a challenge. It is an opportunity also at the same time. They go there, they contribute positively to their host societies, they become the bread earners to their families, and indirectly we benefit from their remittances. So I hardly see it in negative terms when the young people are going towards the Western Hemisphere, trying to grab opportunity over there, trying to prove themselves. Their individuality shines over there. It has to offer so much in terms of opportunity. Why do I have to take it as a challenge? I think so I should be encouraging it. I should be promoting it. I should be supporting it. It is a skewed angle where people talk about it and they say that, oh, people are living out of despondency. You may be not that comfortable or happy about a situation back home, that's fine. And even if that is one reason of exercising that choice to leave this country, probably is minimal. Is this for the first time that the youngsters are leaving Pakistan? Of course not. We've been leaving this country since 1947. Every month, every year, every decade, people go. How is it a new phenomena? It's a normal phenomena. For me, it's pretty much normal. And whosoever wants to come back is very much welcomed. It is an individual choice which should be supported either way. You become an effective and contributor as an individual, either you are here or in your home of choice. This is your natural home, that becomes your home of choice. For me, the more important thing is that wherever you are, you should be successful. You should realize the full potential of your talent. You should reach the zenith of any profession you choose. That is more important to me. If you are a redundant, non-productive individual, either home or abroad, that is a challenge. And that is a huge challenge. So let's bring the conversation into its right spirit, into its right angles, and you could contribute to that larger, bigger and huge conversation. Let's talk sense instead of just responding hysterical towards that. Being historical towards that. Indians went in 1960s to US and rest of the Western Hemisphere. Everyone called that a brain drain, that, oh, the people have left and they have said, who's going to run India? And after 30 or 40 years, the whole of that lot has returned as brain asset. They earned capital, they developed expertise. So if there would have been a negative relationship between that projected Indian diaspora and back home their governments, what sort of relations they would be having? I mean, there are challenges still between that community and the governments both. There would be issues with us as well. But at a larger scale, a potent individual is beneficial anywhere on the planet. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for seeing a new or at least different face of Pakistan. And I'm sure all of you would be our public ambassadors. Thank you so much.
वज़ीर आज़म अनवारुल-हक काकड़ की हार्वर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी के तलबा से गुफ्तगू इस वक्त जारी थी। निगरां वज़ीर आज़म ने हार्वर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी के तलबा के सवालों के जवाब भी दिए।
PNN सबकी आवाज़।
कमिटमेंट टू डिलीवरी के अमीन यूनियन डेवलपर्स कैनाल रोड लाहौर की प्राइम लोकेशन पर यूनियन लिविंग इज रेडी फॉर पोजेशन। लिमिटेड प्लॉट्स इन कैनाल कमर्शियल हब 08,000 9000 यूनियन लिविंग कैनाल रोड लाहौर।